Welcome to God's Way YTVY. I'm Adolphina Shephard, and this is my co-host Thomas Knight Templar.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Well, we have a fabulous show lined up for you folks today. We have a couple of our somewhat regular people that have been on here before, and we're going to be talking about the galaxy, galactics, hacking the matrix, and all kind of cool things. So hang in there, and I'll introduce our first guest, Geozuwa. Tell us about yourself, right? Isn't that how you say it?
You want to say it.
The man changes his name legally, and
I
he goes,
didn't say it right.
Joshua.
Joshua. Didn't I say it right?
No.
It was great.
Thank
I
you,
love the way you said it.
All right, from now on, Jehoshaphat.
Okay, go ahead. Nonetheless,
Yes.
go ahead, dear.
I am a hypnotist, hypnosis instructor, master healer. I love getting people out of their own way and waking them up to the infinite. And I love being on your show.
Oh, well, we have a good time, don't we?
We always have a good time, don't you?
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And our other guest is Stephen Popiotek. Is that right?
Popiotek. Yep,
Okay.
That's fine. That's fine.
Now,
I think she said it. I think it was great.
That's
It was great the
a
way
tough
she said
one.
it.
That's a
It's
tough
close enough.
one.
It's close enough. Exactly.
But anyway, he's been on before as well, and we always have a great time. And so, Steve P.
Yes, Steve P. Sounds good.
Tell us
Stephen
about
P.
yourself for the people who haven't seen
Sweet
you
Pea?
before.
Steve P.
Steve P.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah, exactly. We definitely have fun.
I'm going to accidentally call him Sweet Pea.
I know.
Yeah.
Stuck in my head.
Now let's
Right.
look into infinite realities.
It's
Oh
very
my
true.
gosh.
Oh my God.
Thank God some are less probable than others.
How many realities are you actually known as Sweet Pea?
That's right.
Oh my God.
The first one I know.
The answer is
Honey.
infinite.
You realize this show just went totally a different direction?
We got the comedy skit going first. That's it.
All right, let's get this out of the way. Go ahead, sis.
Go ahead,
Sis.
Steve.
I always call her sis.
Go ahead, Steve.
Oh my God.
Well, we can catch our breath.
Exactly. I'm a metaphysical teacher. I developed a system called cosmic shamanism, which comes more from a foundation of working with the Kabbalah and with the Egyptian mysticism, were my cornerstones. I kind of evolved that system. There's some other videos on YouTube also with my biography, which is a much longer story to go into. But I've been meditating. I'm 46. I've been meditating since I was 16 and actively in contact with different higher beings. Hopefully more on the light side, but I've definitely encountered on both sides of the fence for many years. I mean, like I said, since I was in my early 20s, pretty much. And it's been a system that I've been developing over a long period of time and working with people, individual sessions and different workshops. And
See, we're all on the same page here with this.
yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's the truth.
Yes,
And
of course.
You do the same thing, and I do
Absolutely.
it, she does it. Crossing on to the other side and being with our upper higher beings that we meet with, and different councils.
Thank you.
And different variety of, for lack of a better word,
Methodologies.
And everything works.
Yeah.
Everything works. Every healing
EPs.
modality works.
You know. So tell us how you go about that, Joe. How does
Which part of what?
going on the other side with these councils?
Okay, well, I've been doing the metaphysical since I'm a child with no training, out-of-body, astral travel, remote viewing, remote hearing, dream control, visiting the other side. And now as an adult, I'm able to teach others how to do the same thing and have similar experiences through hypnosis.
Yes.
And I do bring people to the other side all the time, face-to-face with their loved ones who've passed away, face-to-face with their spirit guides, their guardian angels. It's just an amazing experience, the pure love. I guide people to connect to source, that beautiful pure love, white light healing energy.
Yeah.
And then I bring them back to earth. And when they come back, they now have this new awareness. The biggest problems they thought they had before they visited the other side are now so trivial. They have this awareness that we're infinite, we're eternal, and this life, even if it's 100 years, it's like a blink of an eye, even faster than that. And a lot of times healing takes place instantly, just from the one visit.
Yeah. When I took George's Joshua's seminar, gee, you might as well smack me too. That word sometimes just sticks in my mouth. Anyway, I took that, and what I had done since that time is I used the whole process, but I also integrate my own.
Of course,
into
everything
it.
works. And
You have to make it your own.
yes,
you know?
absolutely.
And I tell you, I like the leaving the body. I energetically go like a little bee pollinating every place I go. You know, so it's a lot
My
of fun.
my house is fully pollinated. Don't go there anymore.
That
Oh
was
my
me?
God.
It was you. You did it. You did a
I
good
was
job.
sleepwalking. What the hell did I know? Anyways,
So a good Halloween outfit.
now how do you get to the other side?
I got to use a bee now.
Okay. Do you do it like we do?
Well, there's infinite ways of doing it.
That sounded very loaded, didn't it?
That was definitely double entendre. Got the comedy skit there. That's right.
I told you this was going to be crazy tonight. So how do you, through meditation?
Yeah, for me, well, it's a combination. I do a lot of dream work as well, and I mean sometimes more conscious, other times more unconscious, depending upon if I'm being called out by somebody or if my higher self is pulling me out.
Okay.
But in terms of meditation work, yeah, it's more like I would say remote viewing, but different. It's more like I create a condition in my space. If I'm working on, for example, working on a client who's remotely, I create a condition in my room or my in my apartment the same way I would if someone's there physically. So it's kind of like a hyperspatial, like quantum entanglement in a sense, where I'm creating a local resonance to create a bridge with another place.
Like being
that's
omnipresent.
non-locally.
You're there and you're here.
And it's creating, but more astrally. I'm not doing it physically there, so I'm creating more of a bridge between my location and their location, and then with the angelic assistance and different guides that come in, it creates more of a triangulation in a sense between that, and the spaces can overlap, you know, and that's part of
Do you
like being
find
able.
that the healings are, well, what's the word I'm looking for? The healings are more pronounced when you do that? Or is it more pronounced when you have them in front of you?
It really depends. I've had a wide range of it, also because it's not just about healing for my work. It's also like I'm leading them through a journey process, which can involve also like soul retrieval or tapping into certain past lives that they need to heal, or release some contracts from those lifetimes that may not serve them anymore, or connect them to their home world in a galactic level. So in that regards, it doesn't really matter if if I'm doing it physically or non-locally. But some people do like it, who know me, of course, they're gonna have a preference of wanting to do it in person because they get to experience more of the ambiance of my crystals and my swords and my staffs. And I have a lot of different types of art.
Swords?
Yeah. Yes, I have different like magical regalia I use as part of the
I
compliment.
thought maybe you just used the swords. Sit down and you'll be well. You know?
I love it. I usually put it around them though on the chair, on the floor, but more as a protection type of symbolism to ground the energy.
Now, he's a galactic shaman. The galactic shaman, earthbound shamans, you know, they deal with elementals, life, trees, birds, you know, everything around you. But the cosmic shaman, okay, your specialty is interplanetary.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Now-
It's also like making a bridge. So we'll anchor a lot of like core root energy and like higher tree of life energies into Mother Earth's core in order to create a foundational space where that energy is also evolving. So you want to be able to connect the person to more like the evolving love grids of Mother Earth that are part of the ascension process. And then when that roots are grounded, then we can expand our branches out to more of a galactic tree of life, which can connect us to other planets, other star systems, and help to kind of build that conduit, that relay system.
Even if they're in a different, what the heck, different like reality?
Well, yeah, it's kind of like building like a network of like ladders. We have like upper world, underworld, middle world, different worlds. So you kind of create an infrastructure so that energy and consciousness can be relayed into the person's nervous system. So you still have to use points for me, at least like with chakras or with the points in Tree of Life, or like the antenna systems to help us tap into those realities. And you have to kind of fine tune it. You know,
When you leave out to what, the heart or the third eye?
Oh, if I'm going out of body, well, like I said, usually if the out-of-body stuff is more if I'm doing that more when I'm sleeping, or if I'm deep meditation, I'll go out. But usually I try to stay in and do more of an expansion of my field. So I'm more like I said, more omnipresent. It's more like a holographic fractal aspect of reality where you're tapping into
Well,
a
we
location.
know about the holograms, too, and we know who uses them.
Well, I mean, more like the holographic nature reality, not the matrix technologies, you know, that are distorting that.
Now, there's infinite levels to every infinite reality. And when you were saying where does he come out of his body, which chakra? Now, when I teach it, you can come out of any chakra at any time. And there's infinite chakras. There's infinite levels to each chakra as well. But, and when you come out of the heart chakra, you come out of the third eye chakra, when you come out of the crown chakra, each way you come out, it's a different experience, a different feeling, a different sensation, different awareness. But you can energetically leave your body infinite ways, and there's infinite ways of doing it. There's no right or wrong. Just believe it, expect it, know it. You know, you could do it one time, you could practice it, and it's very simple. It's very easy. None of what we do has to be hard or difficult. There really are no rules except for the ones that you allow your teacher to give you. Hopefully there's no limitations.
Universal law.
Which one? Because
Well, I know there's infinite realities in it. Geez, I wish this was Waka.
I don't like the rules. I don't like rules. There aren't any.
No
there don't
rules.
have to be.
You
any.
heard it here first.
We are infinite. You are
I
God.
live primarily from the heart chakra.
Very good.
That I know, because I always lead with love.
Good.
My message has always been that, and you'll see that if you watch the shows that are running on YouTube. Anyway.
And channels, 35, right? And
I never know the
Fios,
channels.
and Spectrum is 79.
right.
Okay, that's here on beautiful Staten, Italy.
Yeah.
And, oh, did I say that? Jeez. I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about the Galactic Councils. I know you're on many of them.
Which
And I know
you
you're
outed
on
me
many of
as
them.
being a member of several councils, but so yes, because I don't usually tell people that.
Yes.
But now that we're on TV and everyone's watching, why not?
And I brought it up.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead.
Well, interestingly enough, whenever I do the show with Christine, and you've done the show with Christine, Spiritual Exploration, she loves karma. And I am on the Galactic Karmic Board. I am on the Intergalactic
I
Karmic
thought we got
Board.
rid of that.
We did, except people are still holding on to it.
Stop saying
And-
that stuff out there. Every one of you is guilty.
And you know, there are several members that don't want to get rid of it because it's a system of, in
They don't
one
wanna-
aspect,
they-
it's a
they-
system of control. It's just a guidepost. You know, you do this, then this is going to happen. This is what you're going to learn, and then it's a cycle, and it keeps
It's
going.
outlived its usefulness.
Absolutely outlived its usefulness.
You heard that here.
Right now
He said
we're,
it.
thank you. We're in an accelerated time of ascension. So, and realities are shifting moment to moment. People are waking up. All the frequencies and vibrations are lifting and rising. And I think I said on the last time I was on your show, but over the last year, there's been a huge darkness that has been lifted.
Yes.
Not only in this world, but every reality, every alternate timeline, a huge darkness has been lifted. It's not coming back. It's gone.
That's good.
Don't look for it. It's not there.
So you heard it. Stop saying karma.
Well, yeah, the same thing like what is it? What goes around comes around?
Yeah, stop saying that too.
Stop saying it.
It's annoying, really.
Thank you, Tom.
It is. It's annoying.
But you give every time you say that, you're giving energy to it.
I don't
and
wanna
it's
say it. I
creating-
didn't say
Thank you.
that.
Thank you.
Can I say it in another language? Do they understand?
I'm sure there's someone that does.
Okay, I can't do that.
I'm going to learn Spanish soon.
Are you?
Yeah, I think so. It depends on the reality.
I was just saying, you're pretty
Right,
for
right.
In one reality, I'm fluent.
Look for him on Mexican TV.
Thank you.
Okay. He'll be available 7 days a week, weeknights at 7:30, right before the news.
Oh my God.
They have
right.
good soap operas, though, right?
Yes, it's
The
true.
girls are unbelievable.
Well, I don't know about that.
No, I wouldn't
Univision.
know either. No, I only watch like this. Anyway.
I mean, for me, I have a little bit of a counterbalance. We do a lot of grid work with the planet, a lot of like evolutionary ascension work in terms of monitoring different points. There's a part of a grid work we were working on was part of what we call like a global hypercube grid, where the hypercube is a fourth dimensional cube has 16 points. So there are different types of higher geometric structures that the Earth is evolving into.
Gold genomes.
Exactly, which basically is part of her own connection, her process to connect to the higher galactic love communities. But the problem is that there's also been a dark aspect of that, which we've been working a lot on dissolving part of the infrastructure of these shadowy web structures that have been holding back the Earth for a long time. And so because a lot of the stuff has been lifted, I mean, my experience and others especially from like November, because I've been on the show with you guys since about a year, but from this past November, I went to Paris and Prague, and there was some really heavy energy going on in Paris.
European energy.
Oh my God, there was such a nasty like webbing, gridding, but it started and amplified. And we had we were tracking a lot of these other negative ET groups, some of them that hadn't seen before and that were working behind the scenes, and they were trying to reset part of that matrix gridding to create more of an upgraded, darker web.
You know what they are,
You know,
the puppet masters.
and yeah, no, so it was very intense. It was full out, like, you know, every night during work and groups and stuff from like November to February was for me a very rough period of experiencing more darkness than I had in a long time in terms of the level of entrenchment that they were trying to hit us with, both on a governmental level, secret society level. You know, someone close to me had been taken to one of the underground facilities that we tracked that was actually in Paris while she was over there, and so it was connected with one of the Templar groups. Who are a big part of this, you know, older matrix control grid.
And what happened then? Wait.
Yeah.
What happened then to the person that was taken down underneath?
I mean, it's kind of a part of like a longer story because it has to do with what we discovered. It's kind of like part of like the Order of the Black Sun, which goes back to ancient Egypt before Atlantis, and with the Nazis, they had their own version of the Black Sun Order. So it's understand some of these ancient power structures that have been in control of our part of our reality, or
Yeah.
I just heard SS.
Yeah, because SS actually stands for Black Sun in German.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
And yeah, exactly.
Oh,
No,
boy.
exactly. So
I heard it.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, you're right. And so, problem is that, like I said, a lot of these groups are losing influence, and because they're losing influence, they're getting more desperate in their tactics to try to reattach their cords and their web to people, to try to find any weakness in the auric field, any type of timeline where they haven't resolved.
And that's one of the possibilities out of the infinite possibilities of why you see a lot of the Mandela effect, and you see the different geographical shifts. And
Tell them the Mandela effect, because they're looking at,
that's a
know who it's named after.
huge topic.
but
Time to Google it.
Yeah, Google it.
Google it, and
Too big
there's so much
yeah.
across the web about it. But I was also going to say, even with like you mentioned some of the darker forces and everything, and some of the ancient aliens and ETs that have displayed control over this world.
Yeah.
There are infinite realities. There are certain ET groups in one reality controlling Earth. There are other ET groups in other realities. And then there are several realities where those ET groups never existed. Then there are infinite realities in which those ET groups never existed, but humans on Earth created them, because we are creators.
Yeah.
So there are infinite realities in which every race of alien has been created from this planet. And every conspiracy, you name it, everything is absolutely true.
So you're saying that basically.
But at the same time, it's
Okay.
absolutely false. It's your choice.
So let's get
What's the
back
guy
to
name?
this.
I guess she is.
I want to get back to this ET groups that you were dealing
Well,
with.
yeah, because it's also like I said, it's important to see like what have you experienced in your reality bubble, so to speak, that also have other people have experienced. I think part of what we're also dealing with is understanding your role of service and in terms of where you've come to heal or be of service to the planet
Right.
and evolving. So I think some of us will choose some of the denser timeline possibilities to help ensure that the planet moves up as a whole into this new realm and
Well, how
is
far
not
along
left
are we?
behind in terms
Right.
of the shadow anchors.
But I
you know.
meant
sorry.
what type of ETs? I mean, not the
Oh, sure.
Palladians. Were they reptilians? What were they?
Well, in terms of like the negative groups, yeah. Well, there's one big group from the constellation of the Southern Cross or Crux, which stands for cross. It's mainly seen in the Southern Hemisphere. There's two groups there that we've been encountering that we've had to deal with in terms of transmuting. One of the groups there, I also encountered some of them through working with clients who had past lives where they were actually in those and had negative incarnations in those worlds, either as leaders or in the military, and then I was able to hack into that collective more easily because I'm directly working with the person and they have a direct access to it. So usually that I'll attract clients that'll match up with part of the trend of what we need to address as a larger purging of transmuting, and then it fills in gaps to my awareness, and then I can enter into that space more safely without getting as much attacked if I just do it directly. So the group from Southern Cross, there's two groups. One there is kind of like an expression of like the Beelzebub archetype of like the demonic energy, like the Lord of the Flies, which is
Isn't that a
more,
lower energy?
it is on the astral, but the thing is that one of the origination points of that came from that system on a higher dimensional negative level, where they like to use that outfit to create more fear in the local population to kind of access like the tree of death, which is the opposite of the tree of life. So they want to find the fear points, in order to like build negative thought forms that allow them easier entrance to wedge into the local collective through portals and people's bodies. And so but it's all they'll replicate that. So some of their ships look kind of like a waspy, like a fly wasp-like ships with terms of like the stealthy modes. So they'll even
like
have
the
designs.
Klingons.
Yeah, no, or they're it's interesting, and they're very humanoid. I mean, they look very humanoid, just slight differences, but they're like 4D negative ascendant. Some are 5.
So they're humanoids.
Yeah, for sure, looking, but they can shapeshift as well. So
Who's pulling the strings behind them?
well, they're also part of the negative Orion Empire in terms of like the negative group that said is more of the leader from the dark side of Orion. There's positive Orion planets, of course, but in terms of that negative sector where Set is one of the main leaders, they're kind of like his representative, like in the Southern Hemisphere. And basically, a lot of these guys, I call them guys in a sense. A lot of these groups work with maintaining part of a galactic kind of what we call like a galactic dark web network. Where they want to feed off the energies that they're harvesting from certain people's worlds and creating a certain system of control and harvesting in a certain way the energies. So that group also works with another one in Southern Cross, which they kind of look like the Grim Reaper, but they're more like, but they actually refer to them as like Shadow Reapers, and they're like black hooded ones and like more like a black face. And they're pretty nasty too. They're more like almost like a bounty hunter, like they like to outsource.
They sound like
projects to
they're
them.
from Core Center Earth.
They work a lot with trying to hack into the earth in terms of almost like grounding like negative tether points for the dark web to anchor, in terms of feeding off the local planetary energy. So they were doing a lot of work in Australia and in the also in the Solomon Islands. We had to do a lot of work to counter them there. Because Solomon Islands is a lot of ancient pristine energy, which is almost like a stem cell aspect of like ancient culture of like Gaia's body. So we had to send a lot of, speaking about the councils, doing a lot of work to report back to the councils to say, okay, we need to have intervention here in order to counter this agenda because this is way beyond the line of crossing free will.
Where is Gaia along in all of this? I know we've been healing the earth. We've been doing a lot of earth work. We've been healing it. How far along is it?
Well, I mean, in terms of
I know we pushed away
of,
that web. We cleared out that thing that was that veil.
But I was saying part of the new veil that they were trying to put in, I just first discovered in Paris when I came back to here, and we're seeing it here, and then we started doing more group gridding work on a bigger scale. So it took a few months to get the bigger part kind of knocked off again. But there's other things where they like keep getting more creative. So they're getting more creative because they're more desperate.
We're finding
so
that out
they're like
too.
pumping up new technology. Some of these shadow government, because some of these shadow government groups that are part of the deep state, they also have affiliations with some of these secret societies that are working with specific negativity groups. So they're starting to collude in a different way to get more creative because it's like having like
they're losing their
hold. It's like one gang joining another gang because now they need to combine forces because they're losing.
And please know that once the eternal struggle, the good and evil, the battle, the war, when the moment it began, we have already won.
Yes.
There is no such thing as time. So this is just residual effects, but we won. The moment it began, the light won. We won.
Okay.
So
well, that's true, but here's the challenge. I've had some recent experiences with this. The balance must be maintained in order for matter to be in existence. So in my case, we had disillusioned so many of the dark who were in attack. I too have been experiencing more dark equal to the light experiences I've been having. So it seems like the higher up you go in the light, you get the equal and the bad.
Well,
so as it disillusioned, so then you just wind up that I was actually told by by Father God that I was upsetting the balance and to stop that, and figure out a different way to go around that. And I was told how to do it, but
He gave you a timeout, huh?
I wish he would give me a timeout. I need a vacation.
We are constantly on the phone with all of this.
We're all on different paths. There's infinite realities.
true.
But the thing about the balance is just like where people say, well, no, you can't get rid of karma because you have to keep that balance. Nonsense.
Yeah.
We could just go right into the light. When you're ready, you can just go right into the light. And it's happening, like I said, the ascension right now is happening very, very fast. It's a rapid rate of ascension right now.
Oh, absolutely.
And yes, there are the residuals. There are people held back. And there are others that have come here to get them out of it, to wake them up and bring them back into the light.
It's the yin-yang. You have to maintain
You don't
that balance.
No, we're getting rid of it. The balance.
I don't know.
Well, we are.
I don't know.
Unless you want to hold on to it, and that's okay if you do.
I don't want to hold on to it, but
I
I've
got
always
50
been
bucks on the short one.
polarized. I've always been polarized to
and
the light, and it
It's
turns
been
out
said
it's
on
not
this
the
show. He just referred to me as very tall. Thank
that?
you. And I'm
That's
the only
hilarious.
problem is
That's
that he's
true.
carrying his left a little low. She's feisty.
Oh my God.
But
you know-
I wanted to mention with the darkness now. Just like all the light groups work together, and I never like to focus on the dark, and I don't like to teach about it. I'll brush over it sometimes, but it's there obviously.
Of course.
And they all work together, and with my journeys, when I'm astral traveling, all the time, I'm out of my body every night. I go where I'm needed the most, and sometimes I come across the most horrible, most ugly, angry entities, ginormous is a word, right?
They hate you to be there.
And right, and these entities were created by a mass of severely abused children from their negative thought patterns, the anger, the guilt, the shame, the fear, all of those from a mass that children that were severely abused in the most horrific manner created these entities. Now, anything created will fight for its continued existence. So these entities will continue. They'll work with all the shadow groups. They work hand in hand with all the darkness. And what do they feed off of? More abuse, more children being abused. And
Well, you see so much of it too.
right, and it's, you know, and they're struggling to hold on to it, but it is, the veil is being lifted, and you're
Very much
you're
so.
noticing that all of these pedophile rings, they're being
Yeah.
exposed. You know, we're evolving. It's happening.
It's funny you should
Definitely.
mention that.
But those entities now, where I used to, when I come across them, and I have the light, they don't want the light.
Oh, I
so they
know.
attack.
I know,
And I
that's
would come
true.
back with physical
That's very
manifestations.
true.
Physical manifestations of those encounters, like claw marks across my chest, broken
Oh, yeah.
bones. And I go to the hospital, get the MRIs and everything else, and then I'd fix it, just like this. You know, one night of sleep, maybe a couple of months, whatever. Put on one of CDs, and everything works. But in any case, now I no longer do battle. I just allow the pure love to flow through me, and the more they attack, the more they go into the light. Many times I come across of specific dark entities that are created with people that have bad intentions towards me, and I come across these entities like hooded figures, and I give them the choice. You know, they'll start attacking, but it's not going to do anything. I give them the choice. I show them the light, and every single time they choose the light. Because remember, everything that is created will fight for its continued existence. I let them know that I'm not going to destroy them. Like I used to just transmute them automatically, disperse them into pure love and light. But now I give them the choice to exist in the light. So they hold on to what they are, but they now exist in the light. They let go of the darkness, and they always choose the light.
Well, that's a
I
good
think
theory.
you're pretty lucky then.
Yeah, I think he's lucky too.
Well,
I
I
think
went
he's
through a
pretty lucky
process.
too.
Like I said, I've come back with brain
No, I
trauma, with
understand, yeah,
broken
I'm sure.
bones, but
No, I meant sometimes when we try to address, beings that give them an option, it also kind of depends, I think, what level they're on, and some of them are really attached to their polarity of wanting to evolve on the dark side multidimensionally, and so just like they started off as human levels and they're evolved on other planets that are negative, or that
Right.
hold space for the negative ascension. So for them, I mean, we wouldn't be able to like dissolve them in that sense. We can dissolve the charge around them, like to help transmute the energy between the two of you. But those beings have their free will to keep going on the dark
Right,
side.
exactly,
So in that sense, it's
yeah.
kind of like it becomes a game where like, okay, I acknowledge you're on the dark side. I'm not here to help you. I'm not here to make you switch because you don't want to switch. Some of them do. And that's why sometimes I've noticed even some clients I worked on who had incarnations and and higher level like negative planetary groups. They were there when we wake them up again. It's like they become Trojan horses of light to plant seeds of love in those very dark collectives. So that some of the beings that have gotten tired of wearing the dark suit can then know that they can remember that there's a choice to switch back to the light.
Well,
that I would say for me
Well,
at least.
I know that some years ago, one of the Christed beings came to me and asked me to teach the reptilians how to turn to the light because they were deathly afraid of the light, thought they were going to be punished, this and that. So I went upstairs for many years and was teaching at the university there and taught many, many, many of the reptilians. About 80% turned to the light, but at the same time, there still exist other cotillions or whatever, and they don't want to. And the dark will always fight those trying to help towards the light. But you were talking about what's transpiring on the earth. I don't know if I ever told you this. I suppose I did. But we
You tell me everything.
Well, almost anyway.
No, I don't want to know about those things.
But some years ago, a group I work with, we actually were doing work as a group, and this was so fascinating because I have a son from lifetimes ago who's actually a giant. I'm talking a huge giant.
And it came out of you?
No, wait a minute. So
oh goodness.
I was big then too.
He was all her
Silly.
age.
I was
Oh,
a
my
giant
goodness.
in that
Okay.
life too, silly.
All right, all right.
Oh boy.
What do you have in
Okay.
those cups over there?
So do you want to hear this story or
Yeah,
not?
tell me the story with the cups.
Okay.
I mean, the giant.
So anyway, so we're working in the group and we realize there's a group of giants and they're dragging a star, a fifth dimensional star. And they pulled it and positioned it inside the center of the earth. And since then, it has grown to the points, it grew little by little. And in the beginning, it was deep buried in the earth, but now it's a Merkaba. I mean, it's huge. The earth is a star. It's
On a
got
higher level,
points
yeah,
on
yeah,
a higher level. Etherically, it is a star. And it's going and it's rising as it rises in its vibration, the star within the earth. The whole earth is rising. And remember, the ascension process is really the earth. And we are just fleas on a dog's back, so to speak. So we have no choice, So,
Stay around or not?
yeah. So you think about that, right? That's it.
And the idea that
I work with them damn things.
With the fleas, right?
Yeah, with the
okay.
fleas.
that description you mentioned of star is what we call the basically we refer to as the star heart. You know, it's evolution of heart chakra. Where there are new points, new
Here's the
chambers
5-star.
forming.
Here's the
Yeah.
5-point
Well,
star, David.
it can appear sometimes to me. One time it appeared in the beginning as more like a wheel with crystals around it, kind of like the Wheel of Time idea, or as like a tic-tac-toe array, like Aaron's breastplate. But the point is that each of those points, it can be geometric points, spiring like spires coming out, that help you to connect to streams of love coming in from different star systems. So they record to star heart because it has to do with like Gaia's expansion to receive more love from larger parts of the cosmos that she had been
Like an
previously
antenna.
exactly segregated from. And it's like piercing through the dark web that was holding her back, because the negative groups have what they call like the dark. We talked about actually I think last show a little bit about the dark web, the dark star web, which is the opposite.
Right.
So sometimes we need to remove these structures that are underneath some of these underground bases that are like made of higher material, higher metals from different planets that we've tracked, where they try to act as like a buoy or anchor to kind of collect certain like negative thought forms, negative energies in people. And it's interesting what you had mentioned before about some of the kids with those creatures. We'd also seen that they were using some of these star kids on different levels. One project which is more remotely, where they were broadcasting out to certain star kids in a dream plane because they understood that these star children with evolved DNA had a greater ability to influence manifestation or timelines in a stronger way. So they were trying to keep them or have them go through certain nightmare scenarios while they were sleeping in order to turn their energy towards feeding a negative timeline that those groups wanted to create by coercing those children's creative capacity. So it's an interesting way to
God,
get
they're
into
so devious.
Yeah, they are devious, but we were talking about this. What they keep on doing is they keep on taking the timelines that are supposed to run concurrent, and it looks like a Twizzler, what they do to it.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. It looks like it's swirled like this, and we clear the seeds out of this timeline and that timeline, which we think we're running parallel. Next thing you know, the seeds are just dropping right back in, and we got the same problems all over again. You know,
Yeah,
so.
Well, and one of the things that I'll always say is, where you are right now, your main awareness, work on you. Bring yourself to be the best version of you. Do all the forgiveness work. Forgive yourself of anything and everything. Bring yourself to, to self-love.
Yeah, that's true.
Raise your frequencies, your vibrations. Give only pure positive intentions. When you work on you and you make yourself the best you and you raise your frequencies and vibrations, it affects
Everyone
this
around
world and
Right.
every reality,
true.
every timeline. So, and I'm not the only one saying this, you work on you, the world becomes a better place.
I
A better
agree with
you.
you. And it's the truth. You heal yourself,
Absolutely.
you heal the world.
Absolutely.
We know
so
that. But
regardless of how many seeds you're pulling out and the darkness gets this and they get creative this way, it doesn't matter as long as you're working on you. And yes, there are many of us, and most people here, we're here to heal the world. We're here to heal and help others. And of course, the more you heal others, the more you are healing yourself. But as you're doing this, it doesn't matter about any of the other timelines. Everything will shift and adjust and ascend. Always work on you with pure love.
For sure. No, definitely.
well, I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. No,
He was so
it's-
quiet for a while, wasn't he? It was unusual for him.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say which of the hosts cut me off when I was trying to say something.
Was that
The
me?
little one.
No, no.
I'm sorry. I thought
It's
you were done.
someone here. I don't know.
No,
sorry.
and it's definitely true because a lot of times also like from anytime I've had those experiences of encountering, or trying to hack into more of the matrix of the shadow grid structures, it's being aware of sometimes how we are co-creators or we forget that we're co-creators
That's right.
in ways that
Most people forget.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
I'm saying in
yes,
general,
yes.
and I mean, and even powerful, even people I met that are advanced in certain levels, who have more of a heart energy. Sometimes it's hard for them to understand the level at which the shadowy organizations go to in order to try to hold back consciousness from evolving past their control structure. And so sometimes, we'll discover different ways. For me, it's I like to understand like the analysis behind deconstructing some of those thought forms they're using, so we can learn how to apply remedies, which enhances the self-love. Because at certain times, if I had certain blocks going or attacks, I'm thinking about how do they get in? How do they get past my shields? Whatever. It always teaches me a lesson. Okay, where have I forgotten? Where has there been a back door I haven't healed yet within myself?
It's actually not what you've forgotten. It's what you haven't deciphered to do.
Yes, that's the next
We
part.
have been doing this like.
Well, that's the
they're
thing.
They're putting shields over us. They had this one shield over us that actually looked like a shower head.
Yeah.
Okay, that was taking the energy that's coming into us and missing us and just giving us barely enough for our chakras.
Yeah.
All right, and she said, I feel so, I can't think.
Well, that was an energy beam that was being
That was the other thing.
Yeah.
That was the sound you were hearing.
Yeah, that was the energy beam.
But we, you know,
No, but part of that for me is also seeing like part of like the contract like revocation. But if, even on a soul level, where I came up like not just normal ideas, we want to release old contracts to things that no longer serve your highest good, but sometimes we're attached by social contracts to things that we don't even realize we're attached to.
That's right.
until the fine print is exerted on us, you know, by some of those agents on the other side, and we're saying, wait a minute, how do we get in this situation? So it's like, you know, unwriting ourselves from those contracts is important. And for example, one thing that was not as obvious is that some of these physical laws we have, say for example, on like for like the border patrol, crossing another country, you need a passport, you know, documents proper.
Yeah.
Part of what they try to do is they'll try to create a reflection of some of these laws that are physical and have them reflected like as above, so below, but on like the level between 3D and 4D, or going in hyperspace. So I encountered some people that were getting a lot of attacks, and it came out that we need to kind of like claim our sovereign citizenship,
sovereignty.
Yeah.
our sovereignty in more creative ways, in a sense of saying, no, we are divine, galactic, love, universal citizens. We have the right to cross hyperspace freely without being monitored by any of these black helicopters or negative ET groups, but they actually had that, almost like that hidden law in place, where they're saying that if you cross the border, then automatically we can monitor you, we can do things because you're violating our treaty between the realms, or you're violating our false law that you didn't know you were in part of. So it's like letting go of you know, releasing those kind of cords.
those helicopters came to visit.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
that's what I'm
yeah.
saying.
I
But
said, what the hell are these things?
and also the
Buzzing
ability to
house.
bring things back, like part of the idea of like, you know, of like the tariffs, or like the you know, duty-free zones, right? Like in terms of airports, the idea of like you bringing something in that they might consider smuggling, but it's like they'll twist it. So if you're trying to bring back certain gifts, because we were trying to figure out also certain people's soul pieces kept getting pulled back out, or certain gifts they're trying to ground weren't fully grounding, and we saw, wait a minute, oh, it's still getting stuck almost like in like the bureaucracy of like between hyperspace and our reality here by these false grids, in that sense. So we had to basically just do the intention setting of saying, no, we claim our full right of commerce, so to speak, and our right to retrieve and extract our own resources that are our positive lineage.
Is also your
you know?
God-given divinity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Free of any bounty, free of any tax, free of any lien, free of any diversion or subversion or diminishment. So they really have to be like a spiritual lawyer sometimes when you're trying to like break out of that conditioning.
You know,
And then there are some that are here that can bypass all of those hidden laws, all of those hidden rules, and download everything, and even with their students to help them to do it like this. So you don't have to go through that whole process. Now, of course, like I said, everything works. However you want to do, whatever's most comfortable for you, whatever feels right for you, do it. But when you're doing it, know that it's working. Know that you're having it. Know that you're doing it. Believe it. Expect it. Know it. When you step into a state of knowing, that is it. You are infinite. You are the most powerful. And you want to take something with you. You want to add to your gifts, because you have everything. Every single person has all of these gifts. You have all the information, the knowledge, the codes. It's in you. You are infinite. You are a universe. You are the multiverse. And it's just a matter of unlocking it. And it can be very simple and very easy to do. And it is.
It is.
If you let it.
Well, it is.
I know some people. I know
Yeah.
because I know
Sometimes
it can
it's easier
be a
than others,
struggle.
just-
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, what they don't understand is that when you speak, your thoughts have energy. What you say carries weight. Your word is your wand, okay?
Yes.
Say it, you create it. Empower the thought, you manifest it, all right? If you continue to say the negative thing and you give it concentrated thought, it will manifest in your life. That's a very, very good way to manifest everything you don't want. All right, so when you talk, hear yourself not say the wrong things. And every time you say something after the words I am, and it has a negative connotation, well, you are symbolically taking God's name in vain. So you need to really restrict what you say. And if you say something, it's very simple to get rid of it, all right? You know, on your computer, you got trash, delete. Go trash, delete, disempower that thought. Done. Your word is your wand. You speak it into existence. Don't go through life as a drone.
Well, this
Be the God sense you're supposed to be.
This is true, because it even says in the Bible, the word calls everything into being. And what's word? Frequency, vibration, right?
And
See,
so
they're
is
mad at
every
me 'cause I
thought.
didn't make them laugh.
Every thought and intention.
Yeah.
That's why you should always monitor your thoughts as well.
And you know what? That's not the easiest thing to do either, because
Yeah.
you're working with the mental and emotional bodies there.
When you, exactly.
Yeah.
We talking about that, you know, with the different bodies and how, you know, you say things and you don't even realize, my back is killing me today. Well, guess
Yeah.
what? It's going to be killing you.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to.
It doesn't
Right,
have to.
exactly. So you just have to always
He always
constantly
has to
be on guard.
browbeat me.
No, that's not true. I'd like to go on
In
record.
different realities, he does this. He's a
Yeah.
lot taller there. Okay.
Heck, I was a giant in the last one, so.
Oh my God, that's too funny. Too funny.
Thank you, everyone.
He
Too
was
funny.
a giant. Okay. He
Too
played in
funny.
San Francisco. Go ahead.
Oh, no, probably more like 300 feet tall, not,
Yikes.
7 feet tall.
He'd be hitting trees and planes.
I know.
You think you know somebody, you know?
It's also powerful with the idea of like, just to kind of continue what you were talking about in terms of the power of the word and being your wand. You know, from work we do also, it's like kind of like the idea of like lining up part of the Kundalini energy in terms of the energy of the different chakras, because all the energy of the chakras can combine together and be released out of any one of the chakras. So to kind of empower, for me, we call it kind of like the magician's word, where, you know, I don't think every time we say something, you know, it doesn't have to have the same impact on our reality as it does depending upon how much energy we're using the word as a carrier wave to focus other aspects of our energy into it. Like the same way if you put more emotion behind the word,
Yeah.
obviously it carries greater punch into creating an echo effect. And if you're blending each color of the rainbow into that throat chakra expression, then to me that's more like your word becomes more of an extension of the three worlds, of the worlds combined together. You know, it's like the full Kundalini, like the dragon breath, you know, the roaring of the lion.
Yeah.
You know, it's coming out with a much different expression than if you're just casually walking around and saying something. You know, so the idea there, so because sometimes people say things like that too, and some people will take it to an extreme and feel like, oh my God, I have to monitor every little thing I say.
Right,
because,
no, you don't.
You know, you
And-
don't,
and
'cause then that
that's-
becomes like self, you know, like
Right.
almost like emasculization or you know, or a
Exactly, yeah,
punishment
yeah.
if you take it too far.
Yeah, I think someone had said not that long ago that, you know, they read, or, you know, someone taught them that if they say something or have a bad thought, that they have exactly 12 seconds to reverse it, or it's I'm
God.
like, no,
Wow.
please, because now
Okay,
even
who
worrying
said
about
that
it.
out there?
No, it's no one here. But
So I got a mind screw there.
Who would say something like that?
someone
12
said it,
seconds.
and people
Wow.
believe it.
3-second rule, you pick up your bubblegum off the floor? I mean,
It's actually 10 seconds, buddy. But
How many seconds do you have
They
to wrap
raised the
something?
time. Gee, what did
well,
I
actually,
know?
I actually saw a documentary on scientists and they're analyzing how long it takes the molecules to
Wow.
attach.
5
It
seconds.
was 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the reality. Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, it depends on what you're dropping in.
Exactly. That's also
And
true.
just the other day, I was
It's
having
in
a
the toilet,
conversation.
staying there.
I was having a conversation with some. Oh goodness!
Well, I had to say that if it fell in the toilet.
What if it's
Scorpio.
been flushed and cleaned?
No.
I would never do it. No, I'm going on record.
Oh my God.
Listen, my porcelain throne, there's a lot of things, but not that. All right. Now that we're out of the gutter,
What a
Okay.
lovely show.
that's
We got
going great.
Spiritual colonic time here.
So,
Oh my God.
All
what a
right.
cleanse.
You know what it is? It's 3 men this time.
And a lady.
It's a lot of testosterone in this round
my
table,
goodness.
whereas usually it's the other way around.
still check
You
with the
usually
moon.
have 3
usually
women.
I'm getting beat.
Where's
Yeah,
the moon
usually
now?
he
Astrologically,
has
I
the
didn't look at
3
look at
women.
the chart for today.
Right?
And some realities I actually like that. So, you said it.
I didn't say anything.
I
What did I
took your
say?
words. Infinite realities. Some reality, someone's doing that, and I like it.
Oh my God.
Too funny.
I think you love it.
I do.
At
We
least,
do.
at least we got the audience to interact with it.
Yeah.
They're
Everybody
responding.
laughing, right?
It's good to have them doing that.
So to get back to what you were saying with the emotions and the intentions, I was having a conversation the other day and about prayer. And you know, there are people that say, well, I say this prayer every day. I wake up every morning, I say this prayer, this prayer, this prayer. And just listening and knowing that they're just saying the words. When you're just saying the words, it's nothing. You have to have the intention, the belief. You have to be in a state of knowing, and it's more powerful.
State of grace.
So just the words aren't, so don't worry about every word you say,
Yeah.
because again, with the prayer, when you're just saying the words,
That was my argument all the time when it came. Oh, well, I did this, I did this, I did that. It goes, say 12 Our Fathers. In my case, it probably was about 20. But say, 12 Our Fathers, 2 Hail Marys, and a partridge in a pear tree. You know what I mean? And you went out there, you said these things. You said it so fast, you didn't even know what the heck you were saying. Just to get out of there,
So funny. Well, and for me, that's really part of the point of working like with shamanism or with like white magic is it's understanding some of these correspondences of energy flow and intention gathers momentum, you know, through honoring, say, like the 4 directions, honoring the elements that comprise our physical body, to use it for our advantage, not as something that's an impediment to what our spirit wants us to do, but rather, no, lining up the harmony of love flow in each element, the physical, the emotional, the mental, you know, in terms of the elements of the air, earth, water, fire, so that there is a congruency. Like building the step ladder so that your attention of your higher self can come in your body, create that shaking, so to speak, so the energy lines up with becoming a hallowed vessel, right, for that word to come through you. And then that can shake and ground reality more in a powerful way than just, you know, from like the free radical aspect of having your water element fighting your mind because your emotions are they're contrastive to your mental, you know, habits or your body wants something else, but your mind.
Your mind is capable of 150,000 thoughts in the course of the day. And out of 150,000, you know, plenty of them are going to be negative, plenty of them are going to be frivolous, and plenty of them be, you know, pretty good. You know, well, I had to say that for reality, right? Say it again.
It's true. It's true.
Okay. And
Oh my God.
well, can you believe I almost lost my place? And I'm doing this in front of you. This guy is unbelievable. All right. Anyway, where was I anyway?
Yeah,
You tell
speaking
me.
of like thoughts.
All your thoughts. You wanted to tell us about your thoughts.
Okay. Well, you
got lost in one of your thoughts.
Your thoughts, they carry weight. Just try to keep that in mind. They carry weight. What you say is going to carry weight.
Well, and it's also really part of what the collective thing that we're kind of wrestling with also in terms of the media, in terms of politics, different agendas going on, is that they're basically trying to poison our thought supply and our like collective.
They're not trying.
They're doing it.
They're
Yes,
doing it.
exactly.
They're
Yeah.
doing it.
Listen, I don't watch the
And
news.
never mind just what they're putting out there to, you know, to brainwash whatever else, but they're also putting out the frequencies, not just through. And I don't like to
Through your
focus on any
phone.
of this, through the phones, through the TVs, through everything. And that's why a lot of times when people are in that like. If they're severely abusing drugs or alcohol, you know, those denser, lower frequencies, they have a better chance of getting in there and creating certain situations
become part
and
of the
certain
matrix.
attachments.
Exactly.
And I wanted to mention, I know, because not every entity or being from other dimensions or other realities are negative. But some of them, some of them are so unfamiliar with the light. Not that they're evil or anything like that, but their first response is to attack. But I wanted to mention this one woman that I was working with, and one day out of nowhere, she was in her kitchen, and all of a sudden, she started getting anxiety, then panic, where she had to leave her house all day, every day, because she all of a sudden at one time felt like it's not her home. So for years, this is going on for years, she didn't want to be in her home. She kept saying, "It's not my home, it's not my home." So when I was doing hypnosis with her, and I brought her into that deep state, communicating with her superconscious mind to discover that she had an attachment. Now, it wasn't an evil attachment, it wasn't a discarnate spirit, it wasn't a demon, but it was an entity from another dimension that in her kitchen, a portal opened up. The entity was, never saw a human existence, was curious, came out, and then all of a sudden the portal closed behind it, attached to the woman, and the entity wanted to go home. So that's why that woman had those thoughts. In any case, I was working with the two of them at the same time, doing forgiveness, and I let the entity know, I'll locate your home. I scanned, I found it, I opened it up, I let the entity look to make sure that it was the entity's home, and then we did forgiveness, send him on his way with love, went through the portal, closed it up, woman was fine. Anxiety gone, panic gone, loved being home. So it's not always evil. It's not always negative. It's just, and there's infinite dimensions, infinite beings.
Geez, I think I saw that on like a Lassie episode. You know, guy was lost, and Lassie ran 10,000 miles, and got it back to where it belonged.
No,
I'm
but
too young to know what Lassie is.
Oh, no. I remember
In
that.
another reality, you're not too young.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay.
but no, you know what? That's
By your
so
words,
true.
you are condemned.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody said that. Did you say that?
No.
Okay.
No.
He didn't say that, but in another reality, he did.
Oh my God.
Perhaps.
It's the yin and yang balance.
Yeah.
Oh no, please.
Okay. Go ahead, Steve. Say something.
No, she's about to say something.
No, I was just going to say, I know that that's very true because that's one of the first things we would do if I were doing a session on someone is helping them clear themselves, because sometimes your feelings and emotions are caused by, just like you say, another entity or a being. And they're they're not all evil. Sometimes they're just stuck to you. If your vibration is really strong, they can get sucked into, like being stuck to your body also. And a lot of it's unintentional. And I even think that a lot of people in the mental institutions, they either have things stuck to them.
Most of them do.
Yeah. And or they are highly gifted and had no training or no one to teach them or mentor them. So they didn't know what was happening. It drove them a little insane, you know?
Just a little.
Yeah, maybe a lot.
Well, there are many in the institutions, schizophrenia, they have several attachments. Sometimes a person will have hundreds of attachments.
Yeah.
You have something like that you cleared up?
I do clear them up all the time with people, all the time. I do
gotta
many
talk to you about
depossessions.
somebody,
I think the last time I was on the show, I told you about the time I was in LA Fitness, the sauna. I was in a towel, and
He was in a towel.
He was in what were you in?
a towel. I
And
was
a Speedo.
Oh, a towel.
He was wearing a
A
Speedo. It
towel.
was a very, very
No.
old show.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
You have the visual?
Yeah. Okay. So you were in a towel. I couldn't imagine what you
Towel.
were saying.
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead.
I had Christy Brinkley in there. I don't know.
Christy Brinkley, oh my God.
In any case, I had a client that did have a demonic possession. And I had a 3-hour session with him, and I couldn't get it out during that physical session. It wasn't going. And I told the client, I said, okay, listen, over the next couple of days, I'm going to do some work remotely, energetically. You'll be aware of it, so on and so forth. So I was in the sauna, and I said, you know what? I have extra time. Let me do this now. You know, I go in, I leave my body, and I go and I'm removing that attachment. And of course, the attachment was struggling and fighting, but I got it out, energized the gentleman with pure love directly from the source of all creation. And when I came out of the sauna, you know, guys looking at me like this. Remember, I'm in a towel. And across my entire, my chest, all over my body are like these cat claws all over me.
Oh, God.
And you know, they're looking at me and I'm like, oh, wow. And this one guy says, oh, you must have had a really good night last night. I'm like, and then I look, I said, it's on my back too. And it's like my entire body was covered like
boy.
with all of these cat claws.
Yeah.
In any case, and I didn't want to go. No one had a camera there, so.
And the first thing you would want to do is go into a sauna looking like that.
Right,
That's
right.
So, but by the
right.
time I got to my locker, you know, I'll just get
You
rid of
just
it, and
cleared
I
it.
just took a deep breath, and then, you know, then it all cleared up. But stuff like that happens.
Oh yeah. God, do I know?
Okay, we're getting low on time.
Oh, yeah,
Guys,
yeah.
this is always a great time when we have these two guys on.
Yeah.
I have some more sauna stories.
We got save that for them after the show. Okay. We have to thank our crew for being here tonight and helping us out. They always do the great job, Richie, Christine. Oh, I got 2 minutes now. What?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Richie, Christine, David in the booth. Who else is in there with him? Is that Tracy? I feel like that lady from Romper Room. I see David. I see, you know, anyway.
It's so fun. I can say one last thing that's about.
Go ahead, say one last thing. Hurry, you got a minute.
Oh, exactly. Since we're also starting with the worm season now, I do also do group meditations for the full moon, new moon at the Obelisk in Central Park for those who live in the New York area, right behind the Metropolitan Museum.
Okay.
So we're doing the first one on like May 29th in the evening, but people can also find out more about that. But every new moon, full moon, I do the work there. As a side note. You know.
All contact information for the guys will be on, you get it from me or get it from Adolphina on our pages. We're not allowed to do that no more. And it'll be on YouTube too as we put the show up. We have 1 minute. Let me thank our sponsors, Antonio's Pork Store in Tottenville and Aardvark Pest Control. You stretching it out.
Oh, well,
Okay.
wait, you know.
Aardvark Pest Control and Great Kills. And what?
I just wanted to comment. Thank you for not letting Set shut down the TV
Oh my gosh,
station.
sorry, no, yeah.
Because last time you were here, remember that everything went.
Oh my God! Yeah, as soon as we start
and
talking
went
about all the
down.
lights, everything
I
turned
know,
off.
and everything
Remember
turned
when that
off.
happened?
Oh
It
my
was
God!
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing was, they had to reset everything, and
15
he was
minutes later.
able to go right back to the exact same
See,
word
that's
that he
the
had
craziest
said.
thing. You can have a
The
conversation
minute
with
when
him.
the TV was
I'll
shut
ask him a
off.
question. He goes right back to the spot where he's at.
We've been doing a lot more work against his groups. There's a lot of stuff going on with
Yeah.
him lately. But
So
Well,
we're
listen,
good.
we got to do this again.
Yeah.
There's no two
Next
ways
time.
about
Yeah.
it.
So-
An hour is never enough. We got to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Everybody say goodbye. It's a
Goodbye.
kumbaya moment.
Thank you, our audience.
Okay.
Thank
Blessings.
you. Come see
Oh,
us
wow, we're
again.
old. Well,
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, he's never old.
So we'll.